Hello, this is Mark Patton, whiskey sommelier and executive bourbon steward, host of the Korea Bourbon Whiskey Club. And I am here today to report back to you on some questions we recently sent to the master distiller of Wild Turkey Bourbon, Mr. Eddie Russell. Many of you are familiar with Mr. Jimmy, who has been the master distiller for many decades. And his son Eddie, has taken over most of the responsibilities of the master distiller and is now doing most of the communication with the regional distributors. So we sent some questions in, and I'm going to read the questions, his answers, and then I'll let you know if I have a little bit of additional commentary. So let's get started. Question number 1. Wild Turkey uses only one mash bill each for bourbon and rye. How do you get such different character between the Wild Turkey and the Russell's Reserve expressions? Now you see we have Wild Turkey here and then the Russell's Reserve on either side of me. Answer. The main reason of the differences is the floors they are picked from. We use 7-story warehouses and each floor gives different tastes. There are also several other factors such as grain in the wood and airflow. So this is the first time, this is my commentary now, this is the first time I've heard someone explicitly mention grain in the wood. And you could think that, yes, depending on how old and how fast the trees had grown, that a different grain in the wood of the barrel probably would make some difference in the taste of the whiskey. Question number 2. What is your opinion of cask-finished whiskies, and is Wild Turkey planning any cask-finished expressions? Answer. Cask finishes are pretty new to bourbon. I have done a sherry finish and doing a second cask finish for the new Master's Keep. We have been trying some different finishes, but this would not be a common thing for us. Okay, just as a side note, we know that in 2018, the Master's Keep Revival was a sherry cask finish. And as he mentioned, he's planning a cask finish for the upcoming Master's Keep release, so we can look forward to that. But I couldn't find any other information that Wild Turkey has been doing cask finishes. Okay, question number 3, and this is a bit of a longer one. Bourbon fans often express dismay when they hear that one of their favorite brands has been bought out by a conglomerate, especially when the new owner is a foreign company. Wild Turkey became part of Pernod Ricard in 1980, so that's been, 40 years now, and was sold to Campari in 2009. From your perspective, does being part of a larger company, especially one based outside the United States, influence your creative decisions as master distiller? More bluntly put, does being owned by a foreign company make the final product any different? In other words, if Campari owns it, is it still bourbon? So Eddie's answer. That is always something you worry about as you are being sold. We have not had a problem so far. They all want to change things, but for us, having the same master distiller for 60 years that will not change anything is a big difference. Okay, question number 4. Japan has long been a fan of bourbon whiskey and has helped several brands survive the bourbon bust of the 1960s and 1970s. Several producers, including Wild Turkey, make Japan-exclusive expressions like Wild Turkey 13 and Blanton's Black and Red labels. Given that bourbon is booming in Korea and Russell's Reserve is a favorite of Korea bourbon drinkers, would you consider creating a Korea-exclusive label? Eddie's answer. Japan did have a bourbon boom in the 1990s that kept all of us running. They were selling about a third of our total sales at the time. Jimmy and the company prefer not to do special packages. We do have single barrels that can be selected that are the only people that get that taste profile. So let me organize that a little bit. I didn't know that it was that much, but Eddie claims that about a third of the total sales of Wild Turkey was in Japan. So that was a big boost. And as we are all aware, the Kentucky Spirit Single Barrel Selection Program does offer single barrels that people can purchase. But they're not looking at giving us a release like Wild Turkey 13 that is exclusive for Korea. And it turns out that this isn't that exclusive because we have it here now. Question number 5. Before filling them with new make spirits, are there different selection criteria for barrels which will be used for Wild Turkey versus Russell Reserve versus Master's Keep expressions? If so, what are they? Eddie's answer. The day the bourbon goes in the barrel, we do not know what it will be. We taste every 2 years and keep notes on barrels we think will go for our different products. It takes 4 to 6 years before we can really see the differences. Okay, so every 2 years, each barrel gets tasted, and then as they mature, they kind of mark them to go into different expressions. Just a few more left. Question number 6. Some distilleries are growing their own grains, have their own cooperages, and one has even purchased forest land in order to bring everything involved in making bourbon under one roof to produce something that could be called an estate whiskey. In the interest of continuing to, as Eddie puts it, make whiskey the right way, does Wild Turkey have any plans to bring other parts of the production process in-house? Eddie's answer. If you think about it, it would be impossible to do. We go through millions of bushels of corn. Only a very small distillery could do this. If it is a big distillery, it is just marketing talk. Just a side comment myself, this was a question I had submitted because I have seen indications of some distilleries approaching a estate or everything under one roof production. And some are growing experimental grains that they use before they ramp up production on a new mash bill, or will be outsourcing the production of different grains. But to do something on the scale of Wild Turkey, yes, obviously it would be difficult for them to farm enough of their own corn to be able to produce at the volume that they provide for us. And final question, number 7. Will you be adding any other flavored products like American honey? Eddie's answer. I don't think flavored bourbon is the right thing for us. It is like vodka. You have to keep coming up with new flavors just to keep sales going. Side note, Wild Turkey does produce and has on their website two flavored products. Wild Turkey American Honey, which is a 71 proof, so it's lower than whiskey proof, 35.5% ABV, liqueur blended with pure honey and real Wild Turkey and Wild Turkey bourbon. So that's one. They also have a product called Wild Turkey American Honey Sting, which is also bottled at 71 proof, 35.5% ABV, which is the same blend of honey and wild turkey with an added hint of ghost pepper. I'd like to try that one. That sounds interesting. So, some Q&A from our friends at Wild Turkey. We're looking forward to the rye expressions rolling out in Korea later this fall. And as always, enjoy your bourbon. We enjoy all whiskey, but we love bourbon.